Your Excellency, thank you so much for joining us today. We would like to take a group photo, if that's okay. Speakers, organizers will stand and take a group picture. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today for this exciting side event titled Empowering Youth Through Agroecology, Building Climate Resilience and Participatory Systems, co-organized by the Ban Ki-moon Center, YPARD, and the Agroecology Coalition. My name is Eduardo Corriere. I'm the Policy and Programs Coordinator for YPARD, Young Professionals for Agricultural Development. We are a global youth network of approximately, with a reach of approximately 33,000 young professionals worldwide. And it is my pleasure to be co-moderating today together with my dear colleague, Amélie Stu, Associate Coordinator of the Agroecology Coalition. So the event today is gonna amplify youth voices and showcase how agroecology can drive inclusive, rights-based, and climate-resilient food systems. We have a very rich agenda. We will hear from agroecology experts, we will hear from youth activists, and also policymakers on how exactly agroecology empowers smallholder farming communities and young agripreneurs by showcasing youth-led agroecology initiatives as examples of best practices. For our opening remarks, today we have the privilege and great honor of having with us His Excellency Ban Ki-moon, the 8th Secretary General of the United Nations and co-chair of the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens. Your Excellency, thank you again so much for joining us today and for kicking off our wonderful session. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Eduardo, for your kind introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to meet you. Before I read some prepared text, I'd like to say something, some personal views. When I became Secretary General, it was 2007, I realized that there were very few women, let alone young officers. Then later I found that United Nations was established in 1945. It took about 40 years when a woman was appointed Under Secretary General. The level of rank is that Secretary General 1, Deputy Secretary General 1. Then there are many Under Secretaries General. They can be regarded as ministerial level if we apply to government. For example, FAO Director General is Under Secretary General level. ministerial level. Then below that, assistant secretary general, then directors, etc., etc. So there was only one woman, 46 years. So there were quite a number of women, but in the all lower rank, there were typists, a clerk, etc., or secretaries. I thought that even though I was born and lived in Korea, a very traditional, conservative country, where women were not easily seen in the public organizations. So I decided to change this. Then finally, I was able to establish UN Women. That was the first time that big organization dealing with the women's empowerment was established. There were a lot of pushback from the ambassadors, member states, because first of all, they were concerned about the money. Where is the money to establish UN Women? You have to employ a lot of people. But there were only just two small section dealing with women in such a huge organization. In any way, UN Women was established. Then I really wanted to appoint somebody very globally known and strong leadership. So Michelle Bachelet, you may remember, she was president of Colombia. She just finished her job as president of Colombia. Then I negotiated with her, will you be willing to come to the United Nations and join and lead these women's issues? And she was quite reluctant. Look, if in the competition, if I fail, that will be a great, disgrace for me. So I told her, well, I cannot guarantee you, but just trust me. There were many women, like a former prime minister of certain European countries, etc., to apply the UN Women. So in the end, I appointed Michelle Bachelet as the first head of UN Women. Now it's still going on. Then later, I found that there was nothing about young generation, youth. We all belong to a youth generation, young generation, who will really bear all these responsibilities and later become president or prime minister or business leaders or chairman, etc. That's your future. And there was nothing in the United Nations system. So because I could not fight again with the member state when it requires a lot of money and systems. In any way, I established a small UN youth office. I appointed, I don't know whether you know him, Mohammed Al-Hendawi. He is a Jordanian. He was a 28-year-old, only very young. So he was the highest young person. I appointed him at the level of Assistant Secretary General. It's like Assistant Minister, Vice Ministerial level. He was 28. He was wearing some symbol of senior officers, United Nations, like this is some symbol of FAO, but I have presented him. He was the only one who was wearing that, proudly. He later became the president of Scout movement. So this is what I started and trying to do to empower women and young generation. I think as far as women issues are concerned, even though women community may not be fully satisfied, lot of progress has been made. Now, one thing needs to be done more is youth empowerment. But unfortunately, after my retirement, nothing new has been added. So it's still there. It's not been improving, while UN Women has been improving a lot. So in any way, let us hope that the United Nations will do much more for your generation. I think after all, you are going to lead this world, whether in your country or whether in the international community. In this regard, one day I met Condi Rice, the former Secretary of State of the United States. She retired from her job. We were both the foreign ministers. When I was foreign minister, she was my counterpart. So we knew very well. So I invited her. What are you going to do? I asked her. I'm going to write memoir. So then my question was some silly, who is going to write? Like there are some ghost writers. For me, I did have a ghost writer, because when I wrote about my memoir in English, it was a big challenge for me, starting from the beginning. If I begin English, a very thick book. So I was asking her then, how are you going to do then? No, I'm going to do myself. How can you do that? No, I'm very good at typing. Former Secretary of the United States. She said, then what was the reason why you were able to type so well? Then she said, when I was a young girl, my father called her, she said, my father called me, Condi, why don't you go to typing school? Because at that time, the very good job, so-called, for women, young women, would be just the secretary or clerk or typist. Of course, in Korea too, all the typists were young women. But these days, men and women, they all type themselves, even though they would be senior officials. When I was a college student, I went to typing school because I had to prepare some, all in English. So they asked me to learn typing. So I began to learn typing when I was just a freshman of the high school. The reason I'm telling you is that since then, huge changes have been made in this world, not only in the United Nations. Many, many able and ambitious women have been taking prime ministers or even presidents or Nobel award in many places. So that is, even though one may not fully satisfied to the level of what has been achieved for women's rights, but when it comes to youth empowerment, I think there must be much more should be done. That's what I feel. Now, I'm no longer Secretary General, I'm just a former Secretary General, so I do not have any power to do that. But I've been speaking out as a private citizen. But I'm not just a private citizen. I'm wearing a lot of hats, or many organizations. I established my namesake foundation, 4 foundations. First one is the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens, headquartered in Vienna. The one in New York, Ban Ki-moon Foundation. One in Beijing, Ban Ki-moon Foundation. One in Seoul. So I have my namesake organization 4. Then in addition to that, a lot of international organizations I'm working as a head. So I'm still very busily very busily traveling around the world, almost 3-4 times a month, all the times. So I'll continue to be with you in working for gender empowerment and working for particularly youth empowerment. So then my advice to young people and women was that raise your voice. If you just keep silent, I'm a young person, I don't have power, etc., etc. This kind of meeting or group or meeting will make a very good one for you to raise your voice in a common voice. When you speak one by one, nobody will listen to you because you are not a powerful person. But when you speak as a group like this way, people have to listen to your voice. So I hope you will continue to do that. That's my some humble advice to you. But comparing your times and my time, when you were mostly 25 or even 30, even less than 25, comparing my time at that time, I was just nothing. Even though I was a man, boy, when I was young, we were just nothing. No voice at all. Whatever we would say, nobody would care about. Prime ministers or governors or ministers, they would not pay to me attention. But these days, ministers, president, prime ministers, business leaders, chairmen, etc., they care. They know that you are soon going to be the leadership level of people of our society and of our world. So I hope you raise your voice and challenge your leaders, challenge your leaders. When I say leaders means president, prime minister, ministers, chairman, etc., etc. So just to speak out proudly with the confidence. And that's what is now. I believe world is changing very quickly, very swiftly these days. So people will listen to your voices. That's what I'm just telling you. But I have prepared some note, but thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Your Excellency, first of all, for kicking off our session today, but also for your strong interest and commitment towards empowering youth and women. We at YPARD see youth and define youth as change makers of today, so leaders of both today and tomorrow. So thank you so much. We truly appreciate, and I trust this, everybody agrees, right, with your wonderful advice, I would say. So thank you so much again for your time and contribution. We truly appreciate it, and we wish you the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I just forgot to tell you one thing. Why were you motivated to do more for women? As a new Secretary General, one day I went to London for another purpose. There were a lot of people, men and women. Then somebody, very noble-looking woman, much senior to me, old lady came to me, then handed over me a book. Well, Secretary General, I was working at the United Nations. This is what I wrote. Then you can Google, never learn to type. This was the title of the book, her memoir, who rose as a first woman who rose to the rank of Under Secretary General. Undersecretary General. She was a British lady. She gave it to me. It just was very shocking to me, because she was the first and the only one until 41 years, 1945, 1991. It's an injustice. It was totally unacceptable in 21st century. But she just motivated me, pushed me. That's one thing. I just forgot her name, but you can check. Even now, never learned to type. Then you will see her name. So I was motivated by her. I think she passed away, maybe. She's a very, I think she was the first highest woman at the United Nations system. These days, there are many women, but still not much, not satisfactory. So I hope you raise your voice and challenge your leaders. This is my advice to you, so that let us work together to change this world, where men and women, women and men, and boys and girls, as well as young generation, can participate in the world's activities, business. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best.
Well, yes. Well, thank you so much, Your Excellency, once again. Food for thought, remarkable thoughts and suggestions and advices, in my opinion, but I believe that the whole room agrees with me. So thank you so much. It is now my pleasure to hand it over to my co-moderator, Amélie, who will set the scene, outline our agenda for today, and introduce our esteemed panelists. Amélie, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thanks, Eduardo. Good afternoon, everyone. So, as Eduardo mentioned, I work for the Agroecology Coalition, which is a global network gathering more than 400 members, including governments, but also non-state actors, aiming at transforming food system through agroecology. And so young organizations are among the members of the Agroecology Coalition. The dynamism, creativity, and innovative spirit of young people are important assets in disseminating and scaling agroecology. Indeed, global youth, who account for 60% of the global population, play a key role in shaping current and future food systems towards sustainability, resilience, and fairness, while also facing challenges. So I wanted to also mention a couple of figures, because according to FAO's latest report on the status of youth in agri-food system, published this summer, youth represent 44% of the agri-food system workforce. But at the same time, food insecurity among youth has risen by 7% within 8 years, reaching 22.4% in 2021-2023. It especially affects young people in Africa. So in today's session, we will explore how agroecology can drive inclusive, right-based, and climate-resilient food system. So today we will have a rich agenda. This event will mark the launch of the Ban Ki-moon Center 2025 Youth AgriChampion Demand Paper. We will also have a panel discussions gathering representatives from government, FAO, and youth. And then we will open the floor for any questions you may have. So let me now turn to Enoka Odongo and Wendy-Yam Osman, two Ban Ki-moon Agri-champions. After months of participatory workshop with young smallholder farmers, agripreneurs, and activists across Africa, the Ban Ki-moon Center finalized its demand paper titled Youth-Powered Agroecology, Building Climate Resilience for Smallholder Farmers. So I will now give the floor to you two so that you can highlight the main points of this demand paper, please.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, let me give a brief about what the Ban Ki-moon does, the Ban Ki-moon AgriChampion does. So we work in a series of workshops, and then we're able to consolidate the voices of the smallholder farmers that we're working with. And through this, it's consolidated into a demand paper, which is able then to be shared at the global space. Secondly, from my own initiative that I worked with smallholder farmers in my country, Kenya, we often face a number of challenges, but the best way how we always address this is through community-based participatory approaches, how we're trying to come up with the solutions from the community themselves. And one of the critical things that I am doing in Kenya is through biochar-based organic fertilizer, because we realize from the series of other workshops that we do with our young people and smallholder farmers is about poor soil health, poor water management, and also issues around agroforestry. So we realize that through production of biochar-based organic fertilizer, which is one of the agroecological practices, we're able to address some of these challenges, because as today we are crying about the food insecurity, we're also trying to battle with challenges about environmental pollution, because agriculture contributes enormously to climate change. So I believe through agroecology and the practice that we undertake, are we able to address these two, addressing food security, and at the same time, we're also enhancing our environmental integrity. So allow me to pass the baton to my colleague Wendy to share about the demand paper. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Inoka, and I must say it's such a pleasure to be here. I'm here representing 18 young people from across Africa, from Ghana, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Rwanda, and over the course of 3 months, we met with experts in 3 thematic workshops, and from also our personal experiences and expertise from farmers, from agripreneurs, from researchers, to identify the major problems that smallholder farmers are facing in advancing agroecology. As we all know, mitigation is not the way to go. We have to re-strategize to adapt. And in this adaptation journey, smallholder farmers are facing major issues. And so we did identify the issues and the challenges from our own experiences across all these countries, but then we also highlighted some of the solutions that are captured in the demand paper. The challenges do also go with the demand. And the first one comes to water management, right? Precise water management is key to climate adaptation and agroecology. I worked on sort of like a coalition of smallholder farmers in Yendi, Tamale, and with drip irrigation, we're able to improve yield from just about 4 bags of soybean to 8. However, this was just using the demo farms. Now, after this demonstration, you can see the hunger and the desire for these farmers to adapt this technology to improve their yield, using less water to grow more. But then how do we meet that demand? Solar-powered pumps are so expensive. And so one of our Youth AgriChampions is working on mobile solar pumps, moving from farm to farm to offer these services. But we think that this should be scaled up. Smallholder farmers, 33 million of them all over Africa, should have access to this. I just came from the Rainwater Dialogue, from the Youth Assembly, and we realized that 72% of water is used, fresh water is used in agricultural practices all over. And our water tables are declining. So using less water to grow more is definitely the way to go, as also climate action is affecting more of these smallholder farmers in this area. So that is the first demand. The second demand was on agroforestry. We have serious challenges when it comes to incorporating agroforestry. If you compare a farmer that has multiple range of trees and crops on his farm, he stands an advantage to improving his livelihood. Not only do the trees improve the soil health, but they also offer an alternative source of income, either from the fruits, or even the biofuel that they use at homes. And so it has a complete integration into agroecology for smallholder farmers. But then we have serious issues. For example, where I come from, it's very difficult for smallholder farmers to plant trees. In Upper West region in Ghana, we educated farmers to be able, we trained them to be able to plant trees. And the feedback that we were receiving was, the land tenure system does not allow for them to plant trees on the land because there's cultural ties to these lands. Most of the lands are usually owned by chiefs. Most of them are owned by individuals. And so it's very hard for you to get a large plot of land and to be able to plant the way you want to integrate all these practices. And so those are some of the challenges that we're facing. And so the second demand is to adopt this, to improve, give them tools, give the farmers the tools that they need, and also to speak to the government to improve this kind of challenges like in this land tenure system so that smallholder farmers are able to do more, improve their livelihood, give us better nutritious food also. I'll speak to the last demand, adopting integrated soil health frameworks. And we're calling on ministries of agriculture to develop a comprehensive national framework for integrated soil health management, right? This must include dedicated capacity building and training when we invest in healthy soil. We are investing in a healthier planet and a more secure food supply. And we are calling for this demand to improve the capacity of young people and to encourage peer-to-peer learning. Knowledge is able to travel very fast as we're learning from each other. And so we are encouraging all stakeholders to improve the capacity of young people and to improve the ripple down effect across young people all over Africa to share their knowledge and to improve our soil health so that we can have healthy food and we can also improve the livelihood of smallholder farmers. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share these demands. And I would say, rightly so, we've launched these demands, and now the ball is in the hands of our stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot to both of you for sharing the demands, and we really hope that your call to governments will be heard. So you also have some copies of the demand paper if in case you want to take them home, or you can also scan the QR codes. So let's now move to the panel discussion. So today we have the great honor to have a government representative from Ireland. So Harry O'Crowley, who is the head of the International Development, UN and SDGs unit from the Economics and Planning Division of the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine of Ireland. I would like also to mention that due to another commitment, unfortunately, Honorary Major, the Ministry of Uganda of Agriculture cannot make it today. And then we also have other representatives. So we will have Stravska Dimitrova, a right to food specialist at FAO. Welcome. And finally, we will hear from Elizabeth Manda-Syonga, director of Syonga Farm, founder of AgroQueens, but also YPARD Africa members. So welcome to you all. Let me turn to you, Harry. Let's start with Ireland. So I have two questions for you. From your government perspective, what policies or investment are the most critical to advance agroecology at scale? And I know that the World Food Forum Ireland Youth Chapter engages young voices in shaping agri-food systems. Can you explain to us what it entails and how it involved the government? Please.
Thank you, Amelie, and good afternoon, colleagues and friends. I suppose at the outset, it's important to say that Ireland's approach to agroecology, it's inclusive and it's equitable. It's a shared journey, and it reflects our ecological science, it reflects our traditional knowledge, it reflects our culture, it reflects our food traditions, it reflects our social values. And if taking all of those as a collective, they are empowering our farmers, they are empowering our researchers, they are empowering our citizens to have or to co-create solutions to problems that there are so that we will have a sustainable people and we will have a sustainable planet. And I think that's the starting point where I'd like to just kick it off. I suppose in terms of policies, I'm going to be frank with you. Agroecological approaches in Ireland at a high level, at a government policy level, are challenging. We have a significant grass-fed dairy system and we have a significant grass-fed beef system. We do nothing else. I don't know if you've been to Ireland. We have no natural resources. We have no power. We have no manufacturing. We have some inward investment on pharma and tech. But aside from that, our indigenous economy is agricultural based. And as a result, we produce 90% of what we produce, we export. So that really runs counter to this whole tenet of food sovereignty and a territorial food sovereignty as an ecological approach. But you can't satisfy every one of these principles. There are trade-offs, and this is a problem. And in terms of the production of high level production of dairy and beef brings with it its own problems, because we have high density or high stocking density issues that depend on nitrogen. And when you get down to a granular level, there are challenges at the farm gate and trying to get that ecological balance. So that is always going to be a problem. But then there are ways of trying to mitigate that, through our innovation and our technological and research advances. Regenerative grazing, multi-sward species, agroforestry pilot schemes, solar farms, carbon farming, the whole eco-service system. They become a much broader living laboratory, and this is what I talk about, the journey that we're on. It's not just about top-down policies, it's bottom-up policies. So, for example, in the west of Ireland, on the Burren, which is a limestone area, our cattle are brought from the lowlands and counterintuitively brought to the uplands overwintered. So they're overwintered on these limestone rocks, essentially. So they're not brought indoors; they are practically outdoors for the entire year. At a much more level, then we would have our research, national research agricultural body, which is a semi-state body of the Department of Agriculture. Teagasc is that's name. They run a signpost farms network, which are model farms that show and display those key areas of agroecological practices that fit into this more extensive but farming that we have in Ireland. Another project is in areas that previously would have been high nitrogen overstocking. It's called the Bride Project, and that brings in a whole lot of practices to regenerate the land, where previously the water was bad, the quality was bad, and it was down to agricultural endeavours. So there are local initiatives going on, and even in the urban areas, there is a very successful project or initiative or movement called Grow It Yourself, GIY, and that has brought into a whole lot of new people into bringing in. They don't know they're doing agroecological practices. They're doing it, but they just happen to be that. They don't have to know that, but they're doing it, and this is part of the process. So what I would say is that we have challenges. It's a function of our agricultural model. We are just covered with grass, and and we do and try and mitigate our emissions. It is part of our policy. We are doing that, but it's important to say that we're not great at doing everything. We're on a journey ourselves at a government level, as well as a citizen level. I might just move on to the other question on the youth engagement, and I'm reminded, and I had a wry smile to myself when His Excellency was speaking about women's empowerment. The Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine is my home ministry, and in 130 years ago it was established. 15 years ago, 115 years after it was established, we got our first Undersecretary, who was a woman. Last Friday, we appointed our first ever Secretary General, who was a woman, of our Department of Agriculture. 130 years. It took us a little bit of time to get there, but we got there, and we're really proud of that. So just wanted to, it's something we have a lot to do. And then, just to move on to the youth engagement piece, Ireland's engagement with FAO in particular is narrow. It's based on we're a small delegation. We have limited resources. So what we have to do is we have to pick and choose how we engage. So we talk. It will be no surprise. Sustainable livestock production is one. We're good at that. Food systems transformation. It's underpinned by our culture of food and engagement with local communities. And the two other areas are gender equality and rural women's empowerment and youth engagement. And on the empowerment or women's empowerment piece, every year for the last number of years, we have given small modest funding to countries like Palau, to Zambia, Malawi, to Vietnam, to Mexico, on the Mexico-Guatemala border, that empowers rural women in developing entrepreneurship and the skill sets to get some off-farm income. And that is a really important part for Ireland. And then when it comes to the youth side, we were really very pleased when DG Chu decided that he was going to have the World Food Forum. And some of you will know, and some of you will not know, it's not universally accepted or not universally embraced, the World Food Forum. There are people who will say, it's kind of the DG's pet project that has kind of usurped the authority of the Committee on World Food Security. But I would believe that both of those can live in parallel with each other. They're not instead of, they're as well as. And one of the key functions of that and the stream on the youth engagement was one that we decided we were going to embrace quickly. Since its inception, we have brought a full youth delegation from Ireland, sponsored by the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine. You may have seen them, you'll probably hear them around the building for the week. And we have done that for the last 4 years. And in fact, the first year was online, and we had a youth delegation that year as well. In parallel with that, and I think this goes to how important we believe that youth engagement, not just in Ireland, but globally, is how important it is that Ireland has provided funding and sponsors the participation of youth delegates from the Global South. So this year, there are 80 youth delegates from the Global South, from 40 countries, that are here through the funding of the Irish government. That is an indication of how important we believe the youth engagement is. And we have always said, right from the start, that, and you can see the transition of the way that the narrative has gone, get young people in the room. Yeah, we'll get young people in the room. And then we say, they must be heard. Okay, well, do you know what we'll do? We'll have a conference, and then we'll have a little split-out module, our side event, where all the young people can talk among themselves. And that was the way it went. And then we said, no, we need to start integrating them and invite them to participate at a more substantial level. We've moved the next stage on, and what we have said is, it is not only important to invite young people to participate, we must provide the resources to allow them to accept that invitation. And that's the policy of Ireland when it comes to young people. I'll leave it at that.
Thanks
Is that okay?
a lot. Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
a lot, Harry. Thanks a lot for your contribution and also for shedding light about Ireland agri-food system. So if you have any questions, please keep them in mind. Let me now turn to FAO's representative, so Zrada Dimitrova. I also have two questions for you. From your perspective, how does the right to adequate food provide a powerful framework for youth-led action in agroecology and climate resilience? And what action do you put in place to combat the barriers faced by young people entering or advancing agroecology?
Thank you, Emily, for the invitation, and to all the previous speakers for the intervention. I would like to start confirming that the right to adequate food is not just a legal obligation, but it could be a transformative framework that empowers youth to lead transition towards sustainable and climate resilient food system. And it affirms that all people, including youth in marginalized and rural communities, can have access to diverse, nutritious, safe, and culturally appropriate, sustainably produced food. So this right provides the foundation for youth agency, actually. It enables young people to innovate, to organize, and to lead agroecological initiatives that can regenerate ecosystems and also to strengthen local food systems. Agroecology, seen from a right food perspective, offers low barrier and context-specific pathways for youth to reclaim and to reform degraded land, to reduce dependencies on external inputs, and also to build climate resilience. Agroecology also fully supports the realization to the right to adequate food by promoting sustainable, equitable, and people-centered food system that prioritize, and this is very important, dignity, participation, and access for all. And when agroecology is rooted in the right to food principles, youth are not just participants, but they become leaders, and they are right holders that can drive fairer and more resilient food system. You mentioned before the latest report on the status of youth in agri-food system, which states that 44% of the working youth are employed in agri-food system, but also outlines the major structural barriers that the youth faces, including access to land, to finance, to markets, to education, and to decision-making processes. And we should also outline that the younger women actually are especially disadvantaged due to care burden, to early marriages in different contexts, and also to restricted educational opportunities. And then here we are trying to address those barriers by focusing basically on both resource access and to youth agency. Within the Right to Food team in FAO, we are actively working to provide better enabling environments for youth-led agroecology. This means embedding the right to food within national and global agri-food system transformation. We have examples of such processes in Uganda, in Ethiopia, in Nepal. We strengthen right to food legislation, policy frameworks and programs, so youth, and especially rural youth and young women, to access land, credits, and training. And this includes also technical assistance, capacity development to members of government or civil society. And we also support community-based advocacy campaigns, like in countries like Malawi, Guatemala, and Indonesia. We engage also with youth and consumers organizations to promote the right to adequate food. And we facilitate dialogues and capacity building with civil society and social movement, including with faith-based organizations. So they can, as our previous speakers said, to enable them to meaningfully participate in decision-making processes. And I think that these are actions that we are taking in the direction to dismantle the structural barriers that I outlined before, and to promote more inclusive rights-based agroecological transition led by youth. I think it's maybe to close, just it's very important that we recognize that youth are not beneficiaries. Within agroecology, they need support to access better land, education, finance, and decision-making processes, and we need to provide our support to give them the leading role so they can shape the food system in the way they want. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dimitrova. Wonderful remarks, and I just would like to say that we indeed agree with all the challenges that you highlighted that are the same that we at YPARD also are experiencing. And I was speaking at a side event yesterday with FAO colleagues from the FAST partnership, and we were also talking about how important it is to give access, easy access, and facilitate access to markets, to funding, flexible funding, and of course also capacity building and technical support. So thank you so much again, Ms. Dimitrova. I would like to jump in, as you can see, because I would love to ask my fellow YPARDian here, Elizabeth, the following questions. So Elizabeth, the first question I would like to ask is the following. Can you please share with us your journey into farming and what inspired you to adopt agroecology specifically, while mentioning also the challenges that you faced as a young person entering agriculture? And then the second question, in your view, what role should young people and young professionals play in transforming food systems through agroecology? What's one message you'd like to send directly to policymakers about youth and agroecology? And what's, let's say, the main takeaway you would like all of us to bring back home with us today? Thank you. The floor is yours, Elizabeth.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. It is a huge honor to be on this panel and to just speak to you all today. So I'd like to thank the organizers and also to be part of a panel with incredible speakers. My journey into farming started 6 years ago. So I am an agronomist by profession. And through this, I decided that I would start farming. And a lot of what we learned in school was conventional practices. So this is, chemical fertilizers. This is the use of a lot of chemicals, and that's what we were taught in school. So when COVID-19 hit, it really affected our business. I am a farmer in integrated farming, and mainly my business was production of high-value vegetables. So when COVID-19 hit, we do packaging of high-value vegetables. So this was our fine beans. And when COVID-19 hit, we didn't have a proper packaging facility. So we had to now alterate how we do our business, and we decided to go with an integrated approach. So through this integrated approach, we were able to now enter into more of the agroecological practices. How do we build the soils? How do we preserve our water? How do we have healthy soils? So all of these things. So my farming operation operates like a closed loop. So I'm into aquaculture, vegetable production, poultry, small stock, and the water from the fish ponds irrigates the crops. And all the crop residues, we create compost heaps. So this is how we build our soils. So nothing on the farm goes to waste. So I do have passion for indigenous knowledge, indigenous seeds. And through that, using all of this knowledge, so it's incorporating indigenous practices, incorporating tradition with some of the new innovations. So agroecology, it comes out like as if it's a new term, but these are practices which we were practicing before, but we're just incorporating them with new innovations now and different things now. in terms of the challenges that I've faced as a young person, I wouldn't like to say challenges, but being young has actually been an opportunity. And I always tell young people this: your strongest currency is being a young person. And this is what opens doors for different things to come into your life, especially being young. And for the last question that you asked, in terms of policies, policymakers should not only invest in young people. We have a lot of capacity building, but young people need to be empowered with land. They need the resources. We need markets. Farmers, receive prices. We're price takers, so it becomes difficult. So we need markets that really do get the value of our products. Because at the end of the day, farmers are usually on the losing end. So if we have markets that are suitable for us, that we really get the value for our crops, we get the value for what we produce, that would really help. And a message to the young people out there, those that are interested in farming practices, there's a lot that you can do. Let's preserve our soils. Let's keep our soils for the future, and let's farm in a way that's sustainable. Let's keep the earth. Let's feed our soils, and let's preserve our water. All of these practices, so that in the future, our people coming behind us, the younger generation coming behind us, can use the soils, can still farm sustainably. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, and thank you for outlining your history, your work, the challenges, the issues, and of course, I agree. We all agree that addressing these key issues, tackling these key challenges, is a critical component if we want to scale agroecology and make it a viable pathway for climate resilient livelihoods. So, in the interest of time, because time is almost up, I would like to kick off and start our Q&A session. But I would like to ask my colleague here, Luca Passacantilli from the IFAD youth team, their youth empowerment specialist, to help us again kick off the Q&A session by giving us a short overview of IFAD's Rural Youth Action Plan, how it fosters agroecology, how it empowers youth and women, and it is my pleasure to give him the floor also because YPARD was actively involved and contributed through the many inclusive consultation processes that IFAD held. So please, Luca, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Eduardo, for giving me the floor. Yeah, it's been great to be here, and thanks for organizing this very insightful session. So yeah, as Eduardo rightly mentioned, IFAD was involved in a long consultation and validation process, which involved several youth organizations that I see present here, including YPARD. And after this consultation process, we are about to launch our Rural Youth Action Plan 2026-2031, and this is a 6-year strategy to put rural youth at the center of sustainable and inclusive rural transformation. And with this Rural Youth Action Plan, IFAD intends to tackle barriers like limited access to land, finance, decent jobs, and at the same time, we aim to unlock youth's innovation and leadership in food systems. So what are the goals of this Rural Youth Action Plan? So mainly we focus on 3 goals. So making IFAD programming more relevant, more effective, and also giving young people real decision-making power. So yeah, we focus on 4 action areas, which are country program delivery, capacity development, knowledge and policy engagement, and finally partnerships. So in short, we aim to turn rural youth from beneficiaries into co-creators of inclusive growth. And as far as the regional strategy level is concerned, we have social inclusion and technical officers that are aiming to introduce integrated mainstreaming coordination meetings to ensure integration of all our different teams So yeah, we trying to integrate the work of the gender team, nutrition team, indigenous people team, disability, but also, of course, we embed consideration about relevant technical areas such as agroecology. And among other things, we are strengthening support for youth-led development by fostering partnerships between rural youth organizations and YPARD investment projects. So we are strengthening existing rural youth alliances, which are our platform to engage with young people all over the world. And so, yeah, we are strengthening this approach that we launched as a pilot a few years ago. And we are going to create this, we are going to create at least 3 new rural youth alliances. And the goal of these alliances is also to strengthen, networks at the global and regional level, to amplify rural youth voices and, in relevant fora. And so with, after this intervention, as Eduardo was saying, I would like, first of all, to thank all of you for being here and for, creating this very insightful conversation. And I'd like to kickstart the Q&A session with a question to the speakers. Feel free to decide whoever wants to answer. But my question is, why is it important to engage youth in agroecology today, and how can agroecology contribute to both environmental sustainability and rural livelihoods? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luca. Thank you for your wonderful overview and interesting question. I'm not sure who from our panel wants. Please, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for the question. Why is it important? We are seeing leading rural-urban migration. And the reason this is happening is because rural livelihoods are they are being depleted. A lot of infertile soils because of the constant conventional farming that is always going on. And so we are having a lot of young people who are no longer interested in farming. And I think that is no longer a surprise to anybody. But what agroecology does is that it improves rural livelihood, and it's not only attractive to the youth, but then it's more sustainable. And so incorporating different aspects of either agroforestry or soil health or water management, we are able to improve productivity of farmers. And once they find greener pastures where they are, there is no need to migrate to urban areas. There's no need for them to be disinterested, because if that is their source of livelihood and that is able to be improved, we'll find more young people in rural areas. It's so critical that, especially in arid regions in Ghana, scores of young people are leaving. And if we say 33 million smallholder farmers feed Africa, and we're having more of them not being young people because they are more disinterested in agriculture, then we are looking at a crisis in the next 10 years. So it is really, really important when you look at the contribution of agriculture to the economies of most countries. I don't think it's a surprise to see that it contributes largely to it. And so looking at all these challenges, I think it is really, really important. It creates employment, it's more sustainable, it improves rural livelihoods, and as she said, it keeps our resources for the future, for those coming. So I think these are major pillars and reasons why we should invest in agroecology, and the youth should be leading this. Thank you.
Very quickly, I mean, I think I go back to first principles. I mean, I think we should be empowering young people to get involved in agriculture in the first instance, and then let's hone in and get more forensically onto agroecology. I mean, if you don't make land available, if you don't make tax systems available, if you don't make microfinancing available, if you don't have, specialist, knowledge transfer groups for young people. All of this is, we're talking to a vacuum. You need to get that sorted first, and that's a government issue. And once you have that established, I think the benefits are readily apparent for why we should take an agroecological approach. But I think you need to get them into the game first before they can decide what game they're going to play. Thank you.
Sorry, but for the sake of time, I think we have to close the Q&A. So I invite you maybe to ask your question to the speakers if they are willing to stay in the room for a bit. And other than that, so I'll give the floor for the closing remark to Katre Olmes, who is the Chief Operation Officer of the Ban Ki-moon Center, please.
Thank you, Amélie. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. In the interest of time, I will try to keep this very short. I have the privilege to close this amazing event on youth-led agroecology. We've had amazing speakers from government. We have farmers here with us. We have youth experts. So we want to say thank you for showing us very clearly why we have to invest in agroecology and why we have to actually place youth in the center and let them drive this change. It's also my other privilege to, my boss was here speaking first today, Ban Ki-moon, so I'm happy to follow in his footsteps. I also am between my two agri-champions here and very happy to have launched our Youth Agri-Demand Paper today. This is our actually 4th demand paper. We have worked with over 60 young farmers since 2022 at the Ban Ki-moon Center, and together we've talked about all of these lacking things we've mentioned: land, access to resource, access to capacity building, access to extension officers. This year, Wendy very well described what we were working on. And if today we leave with one thing, I think we can, I will read this because I don't want to mess it up. I want to say that young people are the drivers, young farmers are the drivers of innovation, of transformation, and of resilience building in agriculture. All we have to do, all governments have to do, all the other stakeholders have to do is empower them, give them the right tools, and we will know the future of our food will definitely be secure. So thank you very much for all the youth who contribute to the future of the world here in this room and outside. Thank you for joining our event. I wish you the best.